Hi everyone, my name is Myiesha and I'm a Sephora Beauty Director, and I'm joined by my lovely model Rene today, and we are going to be touching up her microblading. So for those of you who aren't familiar with microblading, it's very different than the old school tattooing that we used to do like in the 80s, 90s, and before. It's a semi-permanent sort of tattooing that only goes a few layers deep, so it looks a bit more natural, but it doesn't last as long as, say, a permanent tattoo would. And it just makes your brows look fuller, or it adds more hair strokes. So today I'm going to show you how to touch up your microbladed brows with just a few easy steps. There are two different types of microbladed brows. There is or three actually. There's a powder fill, which is exactly as it sounds. It looks like you filled in the brows with a brow powder. And then there's actual microblading, which would be the hair stroke. And then there's a hybrid, which is a combination of the two. I feel like most people have a combination of the two. When I had mine done, I just had the hair stroke because I like that really natural look. So I'm going to show you how to correct some of the powder fill that has faded and how to correct some of those hair-like strokes. So the first thing I like to do, especially if the hair-like strokes or the powder fill tends to kind of turn a little bit gray or blue, which doesn't really happen with modern microblading. It tends to happen with that like pre-80s, pre-90s tattooed, like actual tattoo like on the body type brow before it became really refined, is to apply a brow powder that has a little bit of a warmth, not too warm where it's going to look distracting with the hair color. But one of my favorite colors is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the Brow Powder Duo, and this is soft brown. Taupe works too. If you have deeper skin, chocolate, with it being kind of a reddish warm color, will help sort of color correct. Same concept is like color correcting on your face, things like that. It tends to kind of take some of that blue, make it look a little bit softer. Now, one of my favorite brushes for doing brows instead of a traditional brow powder pencil is the Precision Concealer brush from the Makeup Match collection from Sephora collection. I have like 4 of these because I love them so much, but it's the perfect width of a brow kind of throughout, so you can easily quickly fill in the brow. So we're going to take the lighter side of the duo for Rene because she has lighter hair, so you don't want to go too dark, and we're using the lighter shade. And usually in the beginning of the brows when we start to see the most fading or when it's most apparent. So we're just going to softly blend that through the brow, and it'll warm it up a little bit because even though Rene has gray hair, she has a little bit of warmth throughout it, so it should work really nicely. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think the brush kind of does most of the work. And that just kind of gives it a little bit of a softer appearance. It'll cover up any like patchiness that you may experience in the brows if the pigment starts to lift unevenly. And it'll give you a really good guide when you are going to go start filling in with a brow pencil or a pen, and you won't have to use as much product. Now we are going to add a bit of hair-like strokes. I think this works for, you know, any brow tutorial, but the whole hallmark of a microbladed brow are those hair-like strokes, and that's what people like so much. So we're going to use a very precise pencil. This is from Benefit. This is the Precisely My Brow Pencil. It's in the shade gray. This is actually one of the few brands that makes a gray pencil. So if you're looking for something that's actually gray, not a taupe or blonde or something, this is definitely one you want to check out. So I'm going to take off both sides because I definitely want to use the spoolie as well as the pencil. I feel like everybody kind of uses these. These are super popular, but if you haven't seen it, it's a super, super skinny pencil. So it's going to give us that microbladed look. Brush up the brows so you can kind of see. Sometimes there's little areas that are hiding where you can kind of see where you need more pigment. So I like to start in the beginning, and we're just gonna, even if it looks a little bit harsh in the beginning, we're just gonna do little hair-like strokes, and we're gonna blend them in a second, but you're just gonna start and then flick up. If it looks harsh, it's fine. That's what the spoolie is for in the blending. Then we are just going to do the little hair-like strokes throughout. If you have a hybrid brow, sometimes they only put the hair-like strokes in the beginning, and then the rest is just a powder fill, so you can kind of fill it as normal, but it's up to you. If you want those hair-like strokes throughout, you can do that. But typically, if you just put them in the beginning of the brow, it looks pretty good. It looks like you have it throughout. So like I said, Rene's brows are pretty good. There's not a lot of patchiness happening, but if there were, I would pay special attention just to those areas. You can kind of do just like a regular brow and just kind of frame up that bottom area. Okay, so I think that looks good for the pencil.
So you use 2 products actually.
Yeah, so you could use either or. If you're in a rush, just throw some powder in your brows, and it looks really nice because you still have some structure left, but the powder kind of mimics that powder fill that you get with your microbladed brows, and the pencil kind of mimics those little tiny hair-like strokes. So it's up to whichever one you're doing, whichever one's most important. I would say if I'm like running out the door, for me, I like the little hair-like strokes, but if I want like a full, very long-lasting brow, I like a little bit of the powder a little bit of the pencil. I feel like it looks finished. Yeah.
Right. Great.
So this is kind of like what your brows probably looked like when they were freshly done. They have a little bit of structure. You can kind of see that negative space of a little bit of the hair-like strokes, and they look really defined in the arch. So optional, but you can finish with a brow gel if you want to. So this is from Milk Makeup. This is the Kush Fiber Eyebrow Gel. I'll be using the shade Dutch, which is a medium dark brown, but you don't need that much of it. It's optional. I do like a little bit of brow gel. I feel like it just kind of styles my brows. It's like that last little finishing touch like on your hair. So we are just gonna do a little bit here. This is also really nice if you need a little bit of gray coverage. Renee's brows are very even. Or you could just do a clear, whichever you want. Something you could do too, if you find that you don't have a brow powder and you still kind of have that sort of blue or gray situation happening, sometimes I'll use like a caramel or a warm brow gel. Like I typically always use Anastasia's brow gel and caramel. I don't have it on today, of course, but it just kind of warms up my brows a little bit if they're looking a little bit too ashy. But it just gives you a little bit of fullness and brushes your brows up into the right place. So I'm going to do the other brow off camera and I'll be right back. We are all done. Hopefully that is helpful because I definitely went through some times where my microblading was fading, and I'm a makeup artist, so I knew what to do, but I knew there were other people out there that didn't really know how to touch them up in between their touch-up sessions. So these are some things that can be helpful. Decide if you have more of a powder fill or more of a microbladed hair-like stroke or a hybrid. That works too, and this will give you a few more weeks in between your appointments. So let's look at these brows. So yeah, they look more like your fresh microbladed brows, I would say, that look when they're really perfected and really nice.
Yeah, totally livened up.
Yeah. So when you're doing this at home, you can decide if you want to do all 3 steps, if you just want to do one, if you want to do them lighter, darker, whatever you want. But these are some things that I was doing when I was trying to fix my microbladed brows when I couldn't get to my sessions. So hopefully this is helpful to you. If there's other brow videos that you want to see, go ahead and drop that in the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. And we'll see you next time. Bye.